So for February, I feel like I have quite a petite unboxing for you guys. But we will start, as always, by going through everything I'm going to be showing you in this video. So we do mainly have Fairyloot boxes. We have one special edition from Fairyloot. This is an anticipated sequel of mine that was released towards the end of last year, and I did purchase this one myself. The sequel to my favorite Fairyloot edition of all time, so that's exciting. I then have my rep packages, which Fairyloot have very kindly sent over for me to open for you guys on my channel. So thank you so much to Fairyloot for that. We have their adult and romantasy combo box and also their regular young adult box. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Fairyloot, they are a UK based bookish subscription box company. They have 3 monthly subscriptions. You can combine them into combo boxes if you'd rather have less parcels and combine the shipping. But this one is their young adult box. It has a brand new hardback young adult fantasy release in an exclusive edition, as well as a collection of bookish goodies, and this one contains both their adult and romantasy subscription, which is of course a brand new adult fantasy release in an exclusive edition, and also a brand new romantasy release in an exclusive Fairyloot edition as well. This is Carmi's first unboxing video as well. I normally put her in bed for an hour to mitigate the chaos, but you know, it was a learning curve with Brie as well. We've got to learn somewhere, so hopefully she won't be too chaotic throughout the course of this video, and who knows, maybe she'll get involved in the unpacking like Brie liked to. But the only other subscription that I have for you guys is my Broken Binded subscription. This is their regular sci-fi fantasy sub that they started in September, and this one is the January box. I did pay for this one myself. I'm a paid subscriber, and this subscription started as bi-monthly. I think from the month of March it is going to be monthly, and this one was a little bit delayed, I believe, because it had a February release included in the box, a release that I have now just read, and while I enjoyed it, I don't feel like I enjoyed it enough to keep a hardback special edition of it, but we will discuss that when we tear into it, which to be honest may as well be now. There's no reason why we shouldn't start with this one. So if you guys have not seen the most recent episode of Shelve It or Scrap It, I did read this book. It's by an author that I have enjoyed in the past, but they're not a favorite author of mine. They don't write a favorite series of mine, so I was kind of like moderately interested in it. I did receive an ARC from the publisher, which is how I read it, and I really enjoyed the social commentary of this book. But in terms of this being something to entertain, where it stops being social commentary and becomes something that is entertaining for people to consume, is kind of where I didn't enjoy it. The tone of the story was not my favorite, but I will of course link Shelve It or Scrap It if you guys would like to go and get like my full detailed thoughts on that, because I do really dig into the social commentary in this book and how much I appreciate what Matt Dinniman is saying. But the book in question is of course Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. You know what, actually I like this cover more in life than I do on the pictures that I've seen of it online. We have a completely redesigned cover. I'll overlay the original cover over the top for you guys, and we also have very explosive, fiery printed edges. We also have custom end papers in here. As you can tell, this is a very like robot war heavy kind of book, and that is why I didn't love it. It's just not my particular favorite tone to a story, you know. Under the dust jacket, this is really nice actually. It's kind of, oh my god, it's kind of like a hood, like a gaming display, which does kind of fit into the theme of this book. So if you guys don't know what this one is about, we are following a man called Oliver, who is of the 2nd generation to be born on this planet. He is human, like his grandfather and the people like the generations before his grandfather came to this planet from Earth on these big ships to essentially make this a habitable planet so that eventually people from Earth could also come to this planet to live. And one day an evil corporation decides that they are going to run an eviction notice, which is essentially an extermination program, and they charge people, mainly like children and gamers on Earth, for the privilege of piloting the war machines that are going to kill the people of this planet. So it has a lot to say about things like dehumanization of people so that you can commit atrocities against them without quote unquote feeling guilty about it. I am like really watering this down for a quick summary. And also I feel like it talks a lot about the desensitization that we currently feel when we are confronted with such harrowing media because of how kind of like frequent that information is being received in the current era of like social media and like user generated content. So I really liked all of that discussion, but the robot war element of this was a little bit too macho for me and didn't really hold my interest. The audiobook for this one is really good though. So as I said in Shelve It or Scrap It, unfortunately, while this is a very nice edition, and I feel like while it's not necessarily to my particular aesthetic tastes, it is very in keeping with the storyline. I don't need to keep a hardback copy of this. So at the moment I'm planning to make a video or a series of videos at some point in the future on the first year of the Broken Binding science fiction and fantasy sub. So I'm going to keep hold of this one until I make that video, and then unfortunately I think I am going to be unhauling this one. So for the Fairyloots, I guess we'll just start with what is on top. I believe that this one, yes, is the adult and romantasy combo box. I cannot remember at this point what all of the February Fairyloot books were. I definitely remember what I think the romantasy one was, and it's not one that I would have thought that I necessarily enjoyed. It has some interesting elements, but some things that I traditionally don't like. If it is even the romantasy, we'll find out. But I've seen a lot of really good reviews for it, which has really piqued my interest. So the one that we have on top is what I believe is the romantasy. Oh, I've just remembered what the adult is as well, which I've also heard really good reviews for. So this one is indeed the romantasy box, and the theme for this month is demon hunters, and the book is of course Half City by Kate Golden. So this one is a little bit of a paranormal fantasy, urban fantasy, which can be hit or miss for me. I've recently discovered actually that I really like it in modern iterations. It's more like the early 2000s conventions of the genre that I don't really love. But like I said, I've heard really good things about it, and actually now that I'm looking at this edition, it is beautiful. So I will overlay the original over the top. Very different. I really love this cover actually, and I adore the edges on this. They include a couple of things that I really love. They're architectural and also like really detailed. The end papers, I love this artwork actually. I've seen a picture of this on Instagram and I think it's really cute. On the back, really like the artist for pretty much everything I've seen so far on this book, if I'm being honest. And then the naked hardcover I like, not one of my favorites. We know what kind of style I love on the naked hardcover, but this is a nice one. And then this one I believe is the original cover with a different color. I'm going to assume it's just different colored text. So this I think is some sort of like urban dark academia like demon school story. So let me read you guys the synopsis because I clearly have no idea what's going on here. It says, welcome to Harker Academy for Deviant Defense. Keep your daggers sharp and your wits even sharper. Viv Abbott is an average 21-year-old girl. She lives in an expensive city where the rent is too high, works long hours at a thankless job, and is dating a guy she doesn't even like in the hopes of winning her prickly mother's approval. She also happens to be a demon hunter. Ever since her father's murder, she's been forced to hunt deviants alone, meaning everyone, including her family, sees her as an outsider, until the day she crosses paths with a dangerously alluring demon, Reed Graveheart. The reformed deviant tells her of a school for people just like her, Harker Academy for Deviant Defense. If she enrolls, she'll learn to hone her craft, work with other hunters, and never be alone again. But Viv has a deadly secret, one that not even her new friends at Harker could know about, not if the school might hold the answers to untangling the mystery surrounding Viv's father's death. When strange occurrences begin to plague the students, Viv will have to figure out who she can trust, all while trying to ace her classes, avoid falling for a demon, and making it through her first year at Harker in one piece. How hard could that be? So this is actually potentially less urban than I thought it was. It seems to predominantly have a school setting. Maybe it's because the title is like Half City. I thought that we were like out in the city, you know, but I actually think now that I've read the synopsis, it sounds a lot more interesting than I initially thought, and I have, like I said, seen those really good reviews. I think it might be hard to pick a favorite edition this month. The adult, I have also, at this point, I think I've been spoiled for what all of these books look like, but I'm really intrigued about the artist of the adult book because I think they might have used the same artist that they did for one of their epic boxes. So I'm going to look into that. But the theme for February was Forbidden Bargains, and the book is a very buzzy one actually. I've seen a lot of people talking about this, and that is Weaving Shaw by Heba Al-Waseti. I am unsure on that pronunciation, but I did look it up and I can't find anything like super clear online, so I do apologize if that is a little bit off, and I'll do some more research before I actually read this book and talk about it at length. But this is once again very, very different from the original cover, which I will overlay for you to check out. I think that this looks a lot like the cover of Terror of the Tyrant by, is it JT Greathouse, which as I said was one of the epic books. Luckily for me and also for you guys, I do keep the cards in my books, but then looking at these side by side now, actually I do think that the art style looks different. It's just the, I guess, composition of the cover is very, very similar. So Terror of the Tyrant was, yeah, designed by Kirby Rosanes, and this one was designed by Palin Leinart. So not the same artist, but very similar in composition. But we have a printed edge that's given like dark academia. Like with Terror of the Tyrant, I love the sketch style with the gold foiling over the top. Although of these two, I think I do slightly prefer this one. The end pages remind me of the art that's on the Fairyloot editions of Divine Rivals. I really like especially this back one. And then under the dust cover, we have a, oh, I really like this. I like how this stands out against the background and is kind of accented by the foil. So this is once again an example of a printed and foiled hardcover that actually works for me, because we know it doesn't always. And then this is, I'm pretty sure, the original cover of the book, but the original is red and this one is of course black and white, which matches the aesthetic of the Fairyloot edition. So another gorgeous edition. I do think it is going to be hard to choose between the Fairyloot editions for my favorite this month, but this, once again, I have heard really good reviews, but I don't really know what it's about, so I will read you guys the synopsis. Nothing this lovely could be cursed. The Saint of Silence trades coins for every sordid divulgence uttered to him. The darker the secret, the higher the price. Lena has a secret, one that has haunted her since she was 17. She can see the dead. When her brother falls ill, she knows what she must do. Seek the saint. But Lena's secret is more valuable to the saint than she could have imagined. To save her brother, she must make a deal with him to find the ghost he's searching for. All paths lead to Weaving Shaw, a cursed estate on the moors. As Lena grows closer to St. Silas and, oh, the moors. Okay. As Lena grows closer to St. Silas and she is plunged further into his world of danger, deceit, and desire, she learns that he is hiding his own secrets, ones that have the power to destroy them all. So once again, sounds intriguing. A book that I am more intrigued to read as well, because I have heard really good reviews, and another beautiful Fairyloot edition, although I do really like both of these. I think at the minute Half City is slightly edging it out. And then the last of the monthly Fairyloots is of course the young adult box. Ooh, I just realized I've also kind of been spoiled for some of the items in here, but not everything, which is great. So if I dig for the spoiler card, the theme for this month is Starlight Magic, and if you guys are interested in reading the spoilers, you can just pause this here and take a look. I will be going in blind aside from the spoilers I've seen on the internet, and the first thing we have is a Heavenly Bodies water bottle. Heavenly Bodies is a topic that's going to be coming up again very, very soon. It was one of my favorite books of last year. The design is going to be celestial, so sign me up. Ooh, and you know, navy and gold. Two of my favorite colors together. There is a quote on this as well that says to defy the stars. Water bottles are not something I have a shortage of, if I'm being honest, but I have started drinking liquid IV every day. Because I tend for water, I just use the same Chili's bottle, which is like, I don't know if you can see, it's like here all of the time. It's getting a little bit tatty now, but I have been drinking liquid IV every day, and I do use a second bottle for that. So potentially my new liquid IV bottle. We also have a jewelry box inspired by Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I do actually use my other Fairyloot jewelry boxes. This one has a little bit more space for rings than I like, but you can also use that for earrings. I find that they're really handy to like separate some of my daily jewelry as well as some that I only wear for like special occasions, or jewelry that's like older that has been gifted to me that I actually kind of want to keep forever, you know? So I do like a jewelry box. I'm appreciating the color palette of everything in this box so far. Oh, we also have some friendship keychains. I can't remember the last time we had these. I'm pretty sure these were an item in one of the first Fairyloot boxes I ever received. These are inspired by the Sun and the Star Maker, and the idea is that you would give one to a friend, so you have one each. And then before we get to the overlays and the book of the month, we have the tarot cards for February. I like the icy design that we have on these. These are inspired by the book of the month as well, and we have the Tower and the Star card. So the doorbell just rang. I've just had another book delivered to me, so I guess we're adding something to this unboxing. This is an ARC, I think, from Gollancz, which I'm very, very excited about. So we'll get to that one in just a minute. But back to the Fairyloot box. The book is of course going to be the Sun and the Star Maker, which I think is by Rachel Griffin. It's a ARC that I've seen around a lot recently, actually. I love the style on these. They're very pastel-y, which I wonder if that, oh, it does kind of fit the color of the book cover of the Fairyloot edition. Oh, that one's cute. Very nice, very nice. I have read a book by Rachel Griffin before as well that I really enjoyed. I think that this one is a little bit different though. All of the things that I've seen from Rachel Griffin in the past are like contemporary fantasy, whereas I'm assuming that this is more high fantasy, but I don't actually know for sure. But the book is, of course, The Sun and the Star Maker by Rachel Griffin. This is a wildly different cover from the original, so I'll overlay the original over the top so that you can see it. It's given the Winternight trilogy by Catherine Arden, which I'm not mad about. I love this stag on the back. We also have the stag in the edges, and I also really, really like the like sparkly snowy speckles that we have around the hardcover. We have custom end papers. I really like this one. These are of course also foiled, and we may have found my favorite hardcover because we know I love a landscape, and this is very, very pretty. Under the dust jacket, we also have the original cover in a little bit of an icier color palette, which I think very much suits the Fairyloot edition. So overall, very, very pleased with how this looks. And there is a good chance that I'm going to enjoy this as well, because I really like Rachel Griffin's atmosphere specifically, and we all know that writing an atmosphere is the most important thing to me in a book. So the synopsis on this one says, once upon a time, the sun fell in love with a star maker. Nestled deep in the snowy mountains of the Lost Range, the village of Reverie is a small miracle. Beyond the reach of the sun, Reverie is dependent upon the magic of the mysterious star maker. Every morning, he trudges across a vast glacier and pulls in sunlight over the peaks, providing the village with the light that it needs to survive. Aurora Finch grew up on tales of the star maker's magic, never imagining she'd one day meet him. But on the morning of her wedding, a fateful encounter in the frostbitten woods changes everything. The star maker senses a powerful magic within her and demands she come study under his guidance. With her newfound abilities tied to the survival of the village, Aurora is swept away to his ice-covered castle and far from everything she's ever known. The Star Maker is as cold and distant as the mountain itself, leaving Aurora to explore his enchanted castle alone. Yet the more she discovers about the sorcerer, the stronger their attraction grows, pulling her closer to the secrets he refuses to share. But a deadly frost approaches, and Aurora must uncover what the Star Maker is hiding before she's left in an endless winter that even the sun cannot touch. So once again, given like little ripples of the Winternight trilogy by Catherine Arden, I do feel like this is one, I mean, I've heard really good things about this, once again really good reviews, but I think based on the synopsis alone, this isn't a book that I would pick up without excellent reviews, unless it was by an author that I'd enjoyed before, such as, of course, Rachel Griffin. So I do think I'm going to enjoy this one if Rachel Griffin can deliver that atmosphere and writing style that I appreciate from her. So a very nice Fairyloot box aesthetically. I don't think the item selection are my favorites that I've ever had. I will find, like I said, I will use the jewelry box, and my favorite item in terms of how it looks is probably the water bottle. For me personally, like I have a lot of water bottles already, but if I'm being honest, I do need need to destash some of the old ones that are like really worn and I'm never going to use again, and start using some of my newer ones anyway. So down in the comments, let me know what your favorite item from this month's Fairy Loot is. So moving on to our final Fairy Loot, I am so excited to see this because, as I said, it is an anticipated sequel and also a follow-up to my favorite Fairy Loot edition ever. And the colour palette on this isn't as nice as the colour palette on the first one, but that's just because of the colour of like the actual book, and they can't all be the same colour, you know? I actually don't know if I'm going to read this anytime soon though, because I thought that this was a trilogy. Turns out it's actually a 5-book series, so I don't know whether to reread the first book and then read the second book for the first time when book 3 is released, and then do the same for book 5, or whether to reread for every one, because now the release date for book 3 has actually been pushed back to this time next year. The book in question, ooh, she's damaged. Only a little bit, but considering how much I'm obsessed with the Amani Arayu editions, I may kind of flag it because it has a like ripple, can you see here? And it's like it's been done before because it has like creases and the paper's really soft where it's lifting up. But regardless, absolutely stunning book. This is a very, very different cover to the original, so I will overlay the original edition over the top, and I really love the Waterstones Collector's Edition, or whatever the special editions of this series are called, and the only thing stopping me from picking them up is the fact that the Fairy Loot editions are even more beautiful, and I don't need more than one edition, which is what I keep telling myself. I love this. We have like a seaside underwatery kind of vibe on this. In the first book it was like night and day, or like sun and moon was kind of the vibe, whereas this seems to be like above and below the water. We also have, oh, this makes sense actually, because I went to an Amani Arayu talk and she was talking about the themes of this book. So we have like a nautical seafaring kind of vibe on the edge. I forgot that the naked hardcovers of these are my absolute favorite things. We have custom end papers, and then under the dust jacket, these are my favorite hardcovers, naked hardcovers ever. I love them, and I think that this works really well with the green colour palette. I think it's stunning. And then under the dust jacket we just have the original cover. I can't tell whether this has changed or whether it is just the regular cover, because the regular cover is green as well. So I can't obviously read the synopsis of this because it is a sequel, but Heavenly Bodies essentially is following this girl who is from this kingdom of night, and there's a prophecy that she's going to fall in love with a star and it's going to kill them both. And this star that they assume that the prophecy is about comes down to her kingdom, and he like doesn't want to die, so he wants to kill her and her parents, but she escapes and she goes to the kingdom of light, which is the enemy of her kingdom. And the king there, I'm going to put in quotation mark, offers to train her because it's more of a hostage situation. He forces her to train to kill the star because the king thinks that if the star stays alive, then that star is going to come and try and take his kingdom as well. And the prophecy obviously decrees that this is the one person who's going to kill that star. So she trains with his son, and it's like an enemies to lovers story because the two kingdoms are enemies, but she finds out that obviously maybe he's not as bad as she originally thought. 5-star read for me last year, very excited to continue, but I need to decide whether I'm going to wait until I have Holy Monsters and kind of like read all 3 back to back, or whether I want to reread and carry on now and just like do that for every book. That is probably going to win my favorite edition, because how could it not? It's stunning. And then of course we just have the last minute arrival to this unboxing. Couldn't have come at a better time if we're being honest. I'm pretty sure that this is an arc of an upcoming June Romantasy from Gollancz, which has been sold to me as having like a really immersive, expansive world, which you guys know when it comes to romantasy, like I want fantasy over romance, and I was kind of promised that this would deliver, so fingers crossed. I've just read, this is like a letter from the author, and it says, if you live for a he falls first dynamic and a heroine who rages against the system, I think you're going to have a blast with Kissed by the Gods. This romantasy is a mentor-mentee forbidden romance centered on a delicious brushing Pinky's tension against a backdrop of high fantasy, winged creatures, and a found family forged in blood. Literally could not be any better. This book is, I'll stop leaving you guys in suspense now, this is Kissed by the Gods, by Katie Rogan. This is the absolutely stunning art. And I was speaking to Millie, who is an editor from Gollancz, a couple of weeks ago, I think last month, at an event, and it was Millie who was telling me that the world building in this is delicious. It's a slow burn. It's like got a really exciting world and storyline. So I was already sold just on what I'd heard, but that list of like tropes and themes, I am so excited. It also comes with a little promotional bookmark. The back of this says she might be deadly, but she is not their weapon. And the release date on this is the 4th of June. And do we have, yes, we do have a synopsis in the front, which I will read to you guys so we can get a sense of what we're actually going to be tackling here. It says, they came to take her brother. Instead, they met her scythe. Every year, the gods demand boys for the mines. When Lena slaughters the soldiers who come for her brother, she expects death. Instead, she's claimed by a goddess and thrown into a world of winged war horses, warring gods, cursed monsters, and Riot, the god-sworn warrior ordered to keep her in line. Bound by duty, shaped by discipline, Riot is everything she is not. But I see Riot. I get it now. But he sees the fire in her, the power, the danger. Lena never asked to be chosen, and she's certainly not interested in saving the kingdom that enslaved her people, but destiny has other plans, and the gods should fear what they've awakened. Sign me up. I think that Millie's recommendation and this letter from the author gave me more than the synopsis did, but based on those two things, I am really excited to get into this one, and hopefully I'll be reading this one in May. I actually kind of want to read it right now. I'm very hyped. So here are all of the books from this month's unboxing. I will flip them around so that you guys can, of course, also peruse the edges. As always, let me know in the comments what your favorite edition from this month's stack is. Mine is, of course, FallenStars by Marnie Eriu. I love this so much, which is why I was so enthusiastic about ordering it. But if we take that out of the equation, because, you know, it was already going to be my favorite edition, it's a sequel to my favorite Fairyloot edition ever, I do think of the monthly subscriptions. It was Half City that stole the show for me this month, but I also really love the design of Weaving Shaw. So down in my description box, you are going to find links to the websites of everything that I opened today, as well as any social media they have, and also any discount codes that I may have. So do go ahead and check that out if you're interested. Big thank you to Fairyloot and also now to Gollancz for providing some of the things that I opened for you guys today. But aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to. If you head into my description box, you'll also find a link to my Goodreads, my Instagram, and my Patreon if you want to follow me on any of those. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.